My name is Melissa Jeffrey. I work at the Arlington Public Library, and today I'm going to show you how I started my quilting adventure and how you can start too. Okay, so first I just wanted to show you some of the tools of the trade that we have here that I like using. Obviously you have to have rulers because you're going to be measuring fabric, and so I like to have a couple of different kinds of rulers. Today we're just going to be using this long one that's 1 inch to 12 inches, and then it's a 2.5 inch. And this is 2.5 inches of really normal size for doing some really basic quilting. I also like this one that's smaller right here. So this is a 5 inch by 5 inch, and then it allows you to be able to do some different things. You'll notice it's got some grid lines here that help you line up everything correctly. So my favorite thing in the world to do quilting, it is a roller, and what it does is it actually rolls out the seams, so then you don't have to sit there and go back and forth to your iron. You need to have 2 separate size scissors. I have mine over there, the other one. This is our big one. You'll see that I have marked it fabric, so none of my kids actually use my own scissors. So it's really important to have your own fabric scissors. This is a marker, and it actually helps me mark up some things. What's really great about it is it's water soluble. This is a Mark Be Gone, and once you spray water on it, the mark disappears. So if you need to use it for grid lines or for cutting, then this is the thing to use. So you'll notice too that I have my own spray bottle that I used to use. It's like an old spray bottle that had shimmer body spray in it, and I changed it out and put water in it. And then the water bottle I have here is actually for liquid starch, and which is really important. If you aren't necessarily buying the best quality fabrics, you can starch them beforehand to make them stiff to be able to cut correctly. And so finally, I have 3 things I'd like to show you and what I use to hold some stuff together to maybe make it easier to do the quilting and the sewing. So I have some safety pins. These safety pins are actually specially made for quilting. They're wide shaped to be able to grab a hold of a bunch of different pieces of fabric. And then I also have these. If I don't want to spend the time to actually safety pin everything together, I have these little clippies, and they come in different sizes. And this one actually came in this really cute basket, so I get to hold it and have fun at my house. And then finally, you might have seen this in your grandma's house. This is one with just pins in it. You'll notice they're different sizes. And then also it's got this is a quilting needle for finishing up some quilting at the very end. So I just wanted to show you some fabric choices that you can have. These are mini charms, so they're 2.5 inch fabric things already done, which are really nice that you can buy, a little expensive. And then these are the same size as the ruler that I showed earlier, so this is that size, okay? You can also buy something called a layer cake, and that's 10 inch squares, all right? Then I really like fat quarters. So fat quarters are about 18 inches by 21 inches, and they come in different sizes. I really suggest that if you decide to buy fat quarters, you buy them in a coordinating fabric or in a coordinating color collection. So this one is by Free Spirit, so I really enjoy that one. And then finally, this is a 1/2 yard brick. And so all of these are color coordinated, and each of them are a 1/2 yard big. So if you're starting to do some really big quilting projects, then this is the kind of stuff that you're gonna start getting. And then once you're comfortable with that, you're gonna get yardage, you're gonna start getting bolts, you're gonna start going crazy with the fabric collection. But when I started with fabric scrap bags. So I would go to the quilting store, and they would have these bags, these things that you can rummage through. There's one in Fort Worth that has it, and then you're able to actually get a lot of little different fabrics to try different things. And so I'm gonna show you this in a second. But you can see an example of a scrap quilt that I'm working on. This is a Tula Pink City Blocks collection pattern. And you can see that each one has a little bit of a different thing, but they kind of still match together. And so at the end of this will be a 10 by 10 rainbow quilt. I know a lot of people that say that it's important to stand cutting up, and the reason why is because it's easier to press down when you're doing it. And then also you're able to see it a little bit better, and you're not hunching over. So, and you're able to make a straighter cut. I don't believe that. I always do it sitting down unless it's a really big piece of fabric. So right now I'm making a quilt that's like 100 inches long. That one I'm cutting standing up. One of the best things about the book that I got this from is that it's about, it's called Quilting with a Modern Slant. And with the modern quilting, one of the really interesting things is that they really focus on the art of it more than the precision of it. And so anytime that somebody tells you you have to do a certain thing, you have to choose a certain kind of fabric, they're wrong. If you need to use a bed sheet on the back as your quilting back, then that's fine because you're doing what you need to do and it's $10 versus $100 for a yard of fabric. So, okay, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 16. I have enough, but I think I need 2 more of these. Go ahead and get them all together and then even them up. I usually keep a little cup next to my thing so I can put all the little pieces because you get a lot of little pieces. Let me see. I need to look at my face actually. Ever. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be super random as possible and sort of plan this out. When I was doing my daughter's cat quilt, I did it actually in a Sudoku pattern. So that one I had to math out on paper, just like in Sudoku. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Now it's time for sewing them together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put them in pairs and then take them over to the sewing machine. Up to where they're exactly like that. I have a foot that's a 1/4 inch foot, and so what this does is actually lets me just sit there and lay my fabric right next to it, and I don't ever have to think about the sewing seam. So. And so the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chain piece them. So I'm actually not going to take it off of the thing. Just going to lift it up, put it back down. Saves time, saves thread. Now I've got our little chain. Oh, I already have scissors here. What I'm going to do is just cut it apart, keeping them in the order that I had them in so I don't mess it up. I'm going to take this, and what I'm going to do is, actually first I'm going to cut off this big thing. I'm going to catch that on my sleeve. Sorry, that looks insane. Alright, so what I'm going to do right here is I'm just going to open this up. And normally people would say that what you need to do is iron it to the side of the dark. If you're worried about bulk, and especially when you start doing things with more seams and lines, what you want to do is go in the middle. So you just press it down, open, then you get this thing, and you sit there, and you just tap it out. This does a couple of things. A lot of times when you're ironing, it'll end up, you're gonna over iron the thing and it's gonna end up making your square not a square. The other thing it does is it actually sort of reinforces where you sewed it. So when you're going and doing the actual quilting and putting the whole thing together, you're not, you're keeping that sort of integrity of it. So, and also if you just like being fussy, then it's a really good exercise to take out your little aggressions on. I wouldn't do it with anything too much bigger than this. And the reason why is because at that point you really are going to want to use a wide iron, and this only really works for small spaces. So. For the second part. So we're going to go ahead and put these two together, put it over, stack it up. Hopefully when you sewed together correctly. So I'm going to make sure that the seams are in the middle matching before I put it down. And this is where clips really work if you're new to sewing.
Right, go.
So I actually started sewing here at the library. I started learning how to sew because we got the makerspace and we were like, oh, these are so cool. How do I do this? And so I took a lesson on how to use the basic machine, and then I started piecing some things. And so I've been doing this now, not very long. So I've only been sewing since February of last year, so only about a year and a half. And so I still have a whole lot to learn, but one of the things I really enjoy about it is that it's actually a pretty low bar of an art kind of thing to be able to do, because you get to choose these really cool fabrics and really cool colors and really cool things. And then all of a sudden you've made art, and the art that you have made can be used. And you don't have to worry about the paint and the mixing of the colors. It's already done for you. Is that the best part of this too is that you're really creating art on a 2D plane. So you don't have to worry about buttonholes. You don't have to worry about circles. I mean, that's an advanced technique and doing some quilting stuff, but because this is a good size for a pot holder. So the inspiration came from a quilt, but you can use it for a bunch of different things. You can use it as a pattern for part of an apron. I've seen a really cute apron with a 4-patch in the front of it. I've seen 4-patch bags. I've seen 4-patch all kinds of things. I'm just finishing out the squares, so then when we start piecing it together with other things, then it's able to actually be pieced together straight. I'm not using starch on it at this time, although that's something you could do, but this is a really good iron, and so it doesn't require as much starch to help it along. So now we've got 2 of the squares. We've got a yellow and an orange. And then we'll at least get another green one, then we can start making our actual thing.